And welcome back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and this is Brewing with Underwhelming Commanders, episode 44. And the winner of the poll this time, funny enough, was actually Isareth the Awakener, which I had literally just made a video about a little while back, about a month ago, talking about the deck that I just made for myself. So I already have that deck. If you guys are one of the people that voted for Isareth and you really want to build that commander, I already have that one. Go check out that video. The Isareth the Awakener deck is in there. So the second place commander is Akki Hermit. So that is the commander that I am building today. And I gotta tell you, this is one of those ones that I have included on the poll a few times. And I was kind of dreading a little bit because it is truly underwhelming. 2 red, Goblin Shaman 1/1, tap, Akki Hermit deals damage to target attacking creature equal to the number of untapped mountains you control. Oh boy, that's a toughie. And of course, the toughest part about this is it has to be the untapped mountains you control, right? If your commander just tapped and dealt damage to an attacking creature equal to the amount of mountains you controlled, period, that's pretty good, right? That's a really easy build around. Obviously, you could be throwing damage around quite a bit, but it has to be the untapped mountains you control. And that makes things really difficult because, of course, you want to typically be using this on your opponent's turn when they're attacking, but your mountains have to be untapped. So it makes it hard for you to cast stuff, right? There's a lot of different directions you can go here. I went with all of them essentially, and I will go over all of them one at a time. First of all, the Basilisk Collar, I give my commander Death Touch is one way you can go here. I only need 1 untapped mountain in order to make this work. That way, my commander will deal 1 damage to that attacking creature and of course kill it because that's all I need. So that is one thing you can do. Another thing you can do, and another card I put in this deck is Vidalcan Orrery. Of course, a commander staple allows us to cast our stuff as though we had flash. So of course that means we don't have to tap down our stuff on our turn. If we have a Vidalcan Orrery in play, we just leave everything untapped and pass turn. See what our opponents are doing. Of course, all of our mountains are untapped and on the end step before our turn, or at the very least after all our opponents have attacked and our commander's ability is no longer usable, then we can start casting our stuff. Of course, just a great card in a commander game in general. The other thing you can do, the other thing that works with of course, is you can steal your opponent's creatures. And if I have, say, a Besmirch or a Seize the Spotlight, which both cards I have in the deck, I can steal my opponent's creatures, I can attack them with it, and then after they've dealt damage or at some point during combat, I can use my commander's ability to kill that creature before they get it back, right? So that's another neat way you can go with Ben. The best way, though, probably is I deal damage to my own creatures, which of course always works great in the Stuffy Doll Brash Taunter scenario, right? And that's probably the main strategy I went with in this deck. That's probably what works best with Ben, because of course you can attack with your creatures before you tap down any of your mountains and then use your commander's ability on your Stuffy Doll, which of course isn't dealing any damage anyway because it's an 0/1, but now I have 5 untapped mountains. I shoot my Stuffy Doll with my commander, which is then going to shoot one of my opponents, right? So any of those creatures, which there is a considerable amount in red, will work here. Wrathful Red Dragon, Ill-Tempered Loner, both fit the I want to be hitting my own creatures theme, of course. Mog Maniac, Blazing Sunsteel is an equipment that will work here where I can equip this now to any creature, and I can even equip this to my Stuffy Doll. My Stuffy Doll is already shooting one particular opponent. If it's also equipped with the Blazing Sunsteel, now when equipped creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. So now I can put that damage anywhere I want, including that same opponent if I want to. I can now double up the damage. So Blazing Sunsteel is going to be fantastic here. Of course, because I want to be damaging my own creatures, Star of Extinction seems like a pretty good fit, which is going to deal 20 damage to each creature in each planeswalker. So pretty good board wipe, but also if I have any of my creatures that want damage dealt to them, I'll deal 20 damage to that guy, which will then go face to one of my opponents. My commander is tapping, and we really do want to use that ability, I think, more than just once each turn. We can very easily use our commander's commander's ability on our turn, on our stuffy doll or one of our creatures, then untap it and use it on an opponent's turn to prevent from getting attacked, right? We can use our commander as a scare tactic to keep our opponents from attacking us. So of course, Thousand Year Elixir, Mage Right Stone, all the typical untapper effects we are going to want in this deck. We're also going to want Battle Mage's Bracers and Illusionist Bracers, because this will double up our commander's ability. Whenever we activate that ability, we're going to get an additional activation. And again, we can use this in a way where our opponent is attacking us with 2 creatures. We can use this to zap 2 of their creatures. They're attacking us with 1 creature, but it's big. So now we can double up the ability on the same creature and do it double damage. Or again, I'm attacking with my stuffy doll and I can double up the damage there, or hit my stuffy doll and my brash taunter if I want to. Any of those scenarios work here. So of course, these equipment work really great in the deck. Obviously, the damage doubling effects are always going to work in any red deck where you are doing that. Gratuitous Violence in particular is a great fit. If a creature you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. So of course, with our commander, this works. If I deal damage to my stuffy doll with my commander, it's going to deal double damage instead. And then my stuffy doll is also a creature that is dealing damage, so it's going to deal double damage instead. So if I deal 5 damage, let's say with my Ben to my stuffy doll, it's now 10 damage, and then my stuffy doll is going to double up and deal 20 damage to my opponent. That's going to close out the game pretty quickly, I think. Some other really neat includes that I put in the deck. Arc Bond is a card that I'm going to have to mention at some point in a video. Just think it's a really great card in a commander game. There's so many neat little scenarios you can get into with it. 2 in a red instant, choose target creature. Whenever that creature is dealt damage this turn, it deals that much damage to each other creature and each player. So obviously, this works with our commander's ability where we can choose the creature, whether it be ours or our opponent's attacking creature, that we can use the Arc Bond on and then smack it with our commander, and all sorts of damage gets thrown around. Obviously, with these stuffy doll effects we have in this deck, it's going to work extra good. It's also going to be a sort of pseudo board wipe, a 3-mana instant speed board wipe. A lot of times this will turn into, again, especially with our commander. Our commander will probably die as well, but that's okay. It's just a really neat card in any commander game, I think, especially if you're in any theme where you're throwing damage around a lot. Another really neat card that I might have to give a mention at some point is Volcano Hellion. 2 red Hellion, 6/5. Pretty good for a 4-mana creature. However, it has Echo X, where X is your life total. That's probably going to be pretty expensive in a commander game because, of course, your life total is going to be like 20 or 30 or maybe even 40. So you're likely not going to pay the Echo cost on this guy unless maybe it's really late in the game and you desperately need a creature. The enter the battlefield effect is what we want here. When Volcano Hellion enters the battlefield, it deals an amount of damage of your choice to you and target creature. The damage can't be prevented. And this could be a way to close out a game. If we have more life than our opponent, this just ends the game, likely, right? Because of course, with our stuffy doll effects, again, Volcano Hellion comes into play. We can shoot our stuffy doll or our brash taunter or any of those creatures with our Volcano Hellion. That's where this guy is great. This guy's really great in any of these decks that are using these stuffy doll brash taunter effects, because of course it only deals damage to a creature. So if I deal 30 damage to my stuffy doll, I'm likely just going to kill that opponent, assuming I have more life than them, because of course it's going to deal the same amount of damage to me. So if I'm in the situation where I have an opponent that has a little bit less life than me, even if it's just 1 life less than me, this just becomes a one-shot kill with any of the stuffy doll effects. So I think it's a pretty neat fit here. Goading also kind of works here, right? Of course, you can kill your opponent's creatures, but only if they're attacking. So if you see an opponent that has a creature that you really want to get off the table, put any of those goad effects, and I have a few of them in this deck that work great, because then, of course, we will force the attacks and our commander can kill that creature. Any tapping creature works great here. I got Grim Lavamancer. I got Lightning Crafter because it has Champion a Goblin, and of course our commander's a Goblin. Funny enough, it's also a Shaman. We have a lot of untappers in the deck, right? So I thought, why not throw a few more tapping creatures in the deck that can take advantage of those? A couple of really neat cards in this deck. Soul Scour Mage, 1 red mana human wizard, 1/2 with prowess. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls, put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead. This is a another card that, again, I might have to give a mention because I think it fits in a lot of decks where you are throwing around that non-combat damage a lot, because sometimes maybe you can't kill the creature, right? But with our commander, if someone's attacking us with like a 4/4 creature and we only have 3 untapped mountains, now when we use our Ben, we will, instead of dealing damage, we will put -1/-1 counters on it, and it is now a 1/1 creature, right? So it's going to do less damage. We could probably chump it with one of our creatures. It's just a really neat way to turn our commander's ability into a more effective way of using it. However, it's a little bit of a non-bow with our stuffy doll effects, so we do have to be careful there. Radiant Performer, also another auto-include in a deck like this, because when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, choose a spell or ability that targets only a single permanent player, and you copy it for each other one that it can target. So if our opponent attacks us with all those creatures, we can target one of those creatures with our commander, and then Radiant Performer will copy the ability for all of the rest of the creatures that are attacking us. So another great fit in the deck. Ben Akki Hermit, certainly an underwhelming commander, but if you're interested in it, of course, the deck list is in the description below. Feel free to give it a run for yourself. That is it for today, though, and thanks for tuning in.